want to bring in New York City Councilman Joe Borelli. And Councilman Borelli, I want to have you listen to Dermot Shea. He's the Commissioner of Police. And earlier today, he was asked about police and if they feel like they're being handcuffed by the city. Watch.
There has been a chipping away of tools that the police department uses. And I think those discussions are good. I think they're helpful. But I think you have to examine each one and what's the impact on public safety. And I think that we have gone too far. I think we've crossed a tipping point on many levels in terms of taking tools away from the police. I mean, that these last 2 months are just a completely different situation where it's a toxic environment.
Councilman, maybe get your thoughts on that and your perspective on the state of the city right now.
Well, my goodness, Dana. I mean, the commissioner certainly is right. He should go back even further. You know, this started earlier this year with the state's bail reform law, which lets out criminals usually without bail. It went into a specific push to lower the population on Rikers Island. Then we had this defund the police movement. Then we had this new chokehold ban, which isn't really a chokehold ban. It actually restricts a police officer from applying pressure to a perpetrator's diaphragm. I mean, basically their chest and their back. And then, you know, we have the disbanding of the anti-crime unit, some of the most proactive cops in the New York City Police Department who are out there every day, risking their own life, by the way, to take illegal guns off the streets. So Commissioner Shea is 100% right that this has been a slow rollback across this whole year of the tools that the NYPD has done over the past 30 years to make the city safer. The mayor said today and touted that we have the lowest population in Rikers Island since World War II. That would be a great thing for New York City Democrats to be touting if it wasn't coinciding with an incredible and a devastating rise in violent crime in our neighborhoods.
What is it like to have a conversation with Mayor Bill de Blasio about this?
Look, I mean, Mayor Bill de Blasio is right now just caving into the sort of woke progressive mobs that we see demanding even further action. I mean, we have essentially an encampment outside of City Hall blocking the streets, blocking subway entrances, harassing people who walk by, and he's just letting this go. So even if he doesn't perhaps agree with it, he actually fought back on this chokehold bill for a little bit of time because he saw how impossible it will be to arrest someone safely. And ever since the protests have really took off, he's totally just collapsed any bit of rational thought, and he's given in to every demand.
What would you most like to see done to, one, stop the violence, but also to just reset the city, let the cops feel that they are supported, and let them continue to work on the reforms? You know, people don't mention that the NYPD is a minority force. I mean, they have worked very hard in order to figure out how to broaden out and diversify their ranks.
Dana, not only is the police department majority-minority, they're also the most restraintful big police department in the country. In 2018, they only fired their weapons on duty 24 times. There's more shootings than that in a typical Friday night now. But the thing that has to change, first and foremost, is this quote-unquote chokehold ban, which restricts the compression of a perpetrator's diaphragm. This places a misdemeanor charge on a police officer for simply doing what they have to do to put handcuffs on someone. I challenge Mayor de Blasio or anyone in the city council to put handcuffs on me without violating this same law. It's impossible, and it changes the balance of criminality in a police officer who's struggling for his or her life.
Right. And I've heard that, and I know that is one thing that they could probably change pretty quickly. It seems very reasonable, and it doesn't take away from other possible reforms. New York City Councilman Joe Borelli, always a pleasure. Thank you.